I find I don't push myself to do like, okay, every day I have to do 2 hours of coding.
Right.
It's just, hey, do I have the energy right now? Okay, yeah, let's log in and we'll put in some work. But if I'm super tired, just not into it, I don't push myself to do it because I feel like then I'm not going to do my best work. And to what you were saying,
Right.
it's not going to just flow.
Right. Now, I
Yeah.
find that that's, I have read authors, popular authors, who have said, this is a job like anything else. You go to your job, you sit down at your job and you work, your 8-hour day or whatever it is, so your job. Other people say, and this is true sometimes for me too, do a word dump. If you're not feeling inspired, sit down and write. And there might not be anything good in it, but you're out there writing.
Okay.
And for me, that only works when I'm really stuck. Otherwise, I know what I have to say, and I will say it in good time when I'm ready to say it. The Book of Hannah in particular, as I said, that just flowed. I mean, and what I ended up with at the end, I actually surprised myself in certain situations because there are connections. You've read the book. I'm not going to do any spoilers, but there were certain things that I brought up toward the end of the book that I mentioned earlier in the book, and I hadn't planned it. It's kind of hard to describe without spoilers. But, even the name Hannah, for example. Okay. When I started writing the book, Hannah had a different name.
Oh, okay.
Names are very, very important, at least to me, and I think to a lot of writers. What you name your character is very significant. And I was looking, I think I called her Amanda at the beginning, and just as to have a name, a placeholder.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just put X. I have a whole manuscript at first draft where everybody is named X or Y or Z, because the names are so important. And I eventually said, and actually I named her Hannah because of a throwaway joke I make early in the book with her doctor. And it was a throwaway, and I said, I want to make this throwaway joke, therefore I'm going to name her Hannah. Now, it might not have stuck, except that I remembered the story of Hannah from the Old Testament, which I do bring up in the book.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now, this is a story.
Nehemiah, was it? Or in the Bible?
Right. Hannah's the mother of Samuel.
Oh, okay.
And she was infertile.
Right. Yeah.
And she went for years suffering with infertility, and then she was finally blessed. And I thought, there must have been something going on in the back of my mind that I remembered this story. And I do know this story because this is a story that my synagogue went over every single year during the High Holy Days. And so it's kind of ingrained in me, the story of Hannah and her infertility. And it must have stuck in there somehow. But then when I named her Hannah and then I came back across this, I said, yes, this is the name that this woman must have. Because it ties very nicely back into this Old Testament story. And there are a couple of other things that happen in the book, and I can tell you offline.
No spoilers.
No spoilers about that. Where something happened like that, where I gave a name and I said, "Oh wow, that works really neatly with this" at the end. So yeah, names are super important in the process, and I will often change names, for no other reason than, for instance, I named a character in my most recent manuscript, and I was falling asleep, and I felt like this character had just sort of come to me and said, "That is not my name. My name is Reagan." And I'm like, "Okay, your name is Reagan. I will change that in the morning when I get up." And that's just the way things work for me. It's a kind of loopy process. I don't think it's traditional for all writers, but I think every writer's got their own process, and what works for some may not work for others. And this is just the way I work.
Yeah.